The rules committee banned three key commander cards, and now players are wondering what's been happening with the value. Where are the sales at? And what can we expect from these cards in the future? Well, in today's video, we're going to discuss all of that and a whole lot more. Now that the mighty have fallen from their high, lofty perch of value, what does that mean for players, and where are we going to see these cards in the future? Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thank you again for hanging out with me on my channel today. A reminder, guys, if you enjoyed today's content, you liked hanging out with the Moxman, and you want to see more, all you got to do is like and subscribe to my channel. Turn on that notification bell. I put out new content every single day, and of course, we're only 475 subscribers away from getting to 26,000. So thanks again, guys, for making it happen for me here on the channel. Appreciate it. Now, where are we going to start today? Well, there's a lot going on that people don't really think about because there's so many Magic topics to cover. There's so much news going on with Magic almost every single day that a lot of the information gets put on the back burner. It was hot 1 minute and now it's not. But the problem with that kind of thinking and that kind of environment we live in is that people can forget what things were, and by the time they realize it, it's too late. So let's not forget that the three cards we're talking about were banned by the rules committee. We got Mana Crypt, Dockside Extortionist, and Jeweled Lotus. We're going to take a look at these cards because some interesting things have been going on in the backdrop of these cards. So I want to start with this first card. We're going to go through the whole litany, but we're going to talk about as well is what's going on in the market space, because a lot of these cards actually have interesting little tales to tell us. So let's start with our first card, okay? We're jumping in here. Here is Jeweled Lotus. Now, of course, if you guys look at this thing, it was always over $100. It was actually higher before all this. I just kind of jumped us forward to July of 2023 onward. And you can see now that the price has settled in, nothing's been unbanned. This card has been plummeting in value, $41.97. Okay. Now, in case you guys have forgotten, Jeweled Lotus is a zero casting cost artifact that says sacrifice Jeweled Lotus. Add 3 mana of any one color, spend this only to cast your commander, which means it only works in commander for the most part, right? I mean, I'm sure people talk about using it in vintage or something, but let's face it, it's a commander card designed for commander to kind of copy the Black Lotus, and where we're at now is this thing has lost over 50% of its value. And it's not coming back anytime soon, okay? It's not coming back. Now, what does that mean for you as a player buying this card? Well, let's hang on to that thought for a moment. Hang on to that thought process. If you own this card or if you've thought about buying it, just hang on there. Now, our next card. Here, it's Dockside Extortionist. Now, you can see this guy was as high as like 75 bucks. If you want on TCG Player right now, it's a $19 card for a near mint copy, okay? Now, he came out in 2019. He's already been reprinted a few times, but now that he's banned, where does that leave us? Well, let's take a closer look at him. As you can see here, the market price is $16.60. But if we look at the Dockside Extortionist, it is a 2 casting cost. 1 red, 1 other, 1 2. When the Dockside Extortionist enters the battlefield, create X treasure tokens, where X is the number of artifacts and enchantments your opponents control. That's all your opponents, baby. That's a lot of stuff. So the Dockside Extortionist with the whole treasure thing and replicating, this has a lot of value to players in many deck constructed ideas. And for this card to lose this much value, you can see players have just backed off thinking this card is done. All right. But guess what? We're not done yet. We have one more card to share with you guys. We got to talk about this one too. We jump over and we take a look at Mana Crypt. Now, jump to the 2024 time frame. Look where we are in the last month and a half. This thing is bottoming out. It's at 80 bucks. You can find this thing for like $90. Well, $84 to $90 on TCG Player right now, okay? The Eternal Masters version. It says $80, but really there's a little bit of variance there, shipping costs and stuff, so keep that in mind. But this thing is way off the highs of being $200 plus, and that's because it's banned. You can only use this thing basically in vintage right now. In case you forgot what this card does, we're taking a look. This one here says a 0 casting cost artifact, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you flip a coin. If you lose the flip, Mana Crypt does 3 damage to you. But in a commander game, that's not a real big wash, is it? It's 3 damage, oh well. And it taps for 2 colorless mana. Guys, this is a huge card. And to have the value wiped out, to have things just kind of disappear. The bans took effect, the rules committee disbanded, Wizards of the Coast has taken over, and really, without the bracket system in place, we haven't heard anything. We know ideas are floating in the air. We've seen reserve list cards get all kinds of speculative buys. These cards, they have a tale to tell us. They've got a little bit of information in the backdrop that players here might be interested in knowing. Maybe you'll do nothing with this information, but I'm bringing it to you anyway. The fact that Dockside Extortionist was a $75 card. I'm going to start with Dockside. This guy's dropped down to less than 20 bucks. Lost 75% of his value. More than that. And you can find this card everywhere now. You want it, you can go buy it. And there are some people buying it. $10, $12 copies are disappearing from TCG Player. Local stores have taken in a few of these copies here and there. They know they're banned in a lot of formats, but they still continue to sell. Now, the thing I find funny is people buying them are buying single copies, or there's a few people out there buying 20 copies. A single copy, you're buying it in case it gets unbanned. There's the possibility. When you're buying 20 copies, you are speculating that it is going to get unbanned, and you realize that if you bought 20 copies and it gets unbanned and jumps back up to $80, 80 bucks, $75 to $80. All kinds of people FOMO buying in that first day of a card like that being unbanned would just, the sales would go through the roof. Somebody stands to capitalize on that. They're taking the risk, they get to capitalize and make money. Now, take a look at Jeweled Lotus. Only playable in Commander. The sales on this card are actually quite low. Comparatively speaking to Dockside, it's a lot lower than you would have expected. But when I looked into this, there are people trading in some cards to get at least one copy, which is interesting. Those people are hedging against an unbanning at some later date, even if it's years from now. At least they own a copy now. They'll never have to worry about it. But the idea that a card like that was designed for Commander would never become unbanned at some point seems to not hold a lot of water. It would stand to reason a card that can only be played in this format for the most part would be unbanned at some point, or it would be unbanned by a majority of players who are playing it in a casual way. Because it's up to you to decide that stuff. If you're not going to follow rules committee stuff or what Wizards has posted, or you're just hoping the bracket system at some level allows for these cards to come back. Again, not as many sales as Dockside, but there's that potential that this card could really pop up again if it gets unbanned. Be warned with the information I'm giving you. I'm not telling you to go out and buy this card, but if you don't own one, trading in $40 of trade value to get one might be a winning proposition because it saves you 50% plus of the value of buying one at a later date if it got unbanned. Now the last card. We need to cover and talk about Mana Crypt. At an $80 price point, the fear with this card is that it doesn't get unbanned and it costs too much money still. $80 is a high price. Sales are a lot lower than I would have expected. Some copies are still selling. But with the amount we've seen reprinted, there's many just lagging behind and the price is still dropping. And it's not being picked up. The players have not picked up the gauntlet to buy this card yet. So it may actually drop further still yet, because that's what a banning does. It turns people away from it. Everyone abandons it. But we've seen too many cards like Jace the Mind Sculptor and stuff become unbanned over the years when Wizards needed to. And since they're in full control of what goes on now, they can make this look as a single banning over time, and they're going to unban things singly over time. 3 years you unban this, 2 years you unban this, 1 year you unban this. You don't want to do it all at once. That could tick off a lot of people who sold their cards, but if you slowly reintroduce them, you might see less negative pressure and a lot of secondary market sales that could potentially be had in reprinting these at a later date in reprint products. I'm just leaving it out there. But the price tag that is attaching itself to a Mana Crypt is a much more risky proposition for the average player on a budget. But that's the problem. There are players out there who don't have those budget restrictions. They may buy 5, 6, or 10 of these. 10 for $800, knowing they could be worth 200 plus, means you only have to sell a few copies and you get the rest for free. And that again is that risk reward factor that some people can take and others cannot. But I'll be honest, at $80, I will be taking advantage of this and buying at least one, and maybe even 1 or 2 extra just to keep around for my patrons in case it becomes unbanned later. I'd rather have one than not. I'd rather keep one than not. And I'll find the exact version I like best for the price point that suits my wallet. And I hope you guys can take this as a moment of reflection to say, where do you think the game is going to go? How long do you think these cards will remain banned? 10 years? 5 years? And when they become unbanned, wouldn't it be a really big to-do? It might be followed up by a lot of stuff that Wizards is doing with a generalized kind of reprinting in the works. So you might want to take advantage of it when it's really cheap, is what I'm saying to you. Maybe nothing's going to happen. Maybe I'm wrong. But at some point, a lot of these cards do become unbanned if they're just sought after cards and Wizards realize that there's a cash value. Again, it's my opinion only. Take it for what you will. I've seen this come around too many times, and I hate the idea that somebody's going to lose out and somebody else who has a bigger wallet is going to cash in. Guys, thanks again for hanging out. I just wanted to bring the information, the sales, and the data to you to let you know what's going on. People forget about these cards now that they're banned. No one's talking about it. Nobody's thinking about it. And because of that, somebody may be able to take advantage of that. Thanks again for hanging out. Thanks for being here with the Mox Man, and I will see you guys tomorrow with another video. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons I got here, guys. Because of these patrons, daily uploaded content, it happens every single day. They're the Boomstick Edition crowd. They are the Shop Smart, Shop S Smart. They are Ash, and they are the Necronomicon. You guys, you're a special crowd of people. So thanks again for supporting my channel, and I will see you guys tomorrow, of course, with another video. Well. Now, here's the thing. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. Full coffee tonight, because it's a late one. Came back from the holiday dinner with my co-workers who are amazing people. They put up with me, which is great. So this is what? Wait, there's no point in going to sleep. I might as well just get up for work in an hour. But that's not the point why we're here. Got coffee, got things going. I don't want people to forget about these cards. The idea you can get a Dockside Extortionist, a Jeweled Lotus, and the Mana Crypt for around 160 bucks. That is insane to me. You can kill 3 birds with 1 stone and never worry again. I know it still seems like a lot of money, but it seems insanely cheap to where these cards used to be, and they may still dip lower. And at least if I bring this up as a topic, maybe a few of you guys who never thought about it get that inkling that maybe it's time. At the airpoint, maybe it's just going to bring it to your attention, and you can watch the card and maybe find one at a good price point that you find a good deal. But people have been forgetting about them. Even overall the sales are higher, there's still 100 copies here and there. It's nothing compared to where these cards used to be. Remember, when the mass sell-off came, some of these cards sold $500,000 worth. Now they're just sitting on the market, losing value, and people want to, they want to buy, they want to sell, but nobody's buying. So the price keeps going down. And I still think Wizards is not willing to lose that value, or unless they can recreate some kind of version that's a copy of it, which I don't see them putting in the time and effort to do when they can just unban these at a higher tier and get the reprint equity. My opinion only, but you know what? My opinion counts for something. It does. My wife doesn't believe me. Minimox does, though, and so do most of you. Guys, have a great one. I keep thinking I forgot something now. I'm pausing at the end of the video. You know what? Hold on. If you're watching the end of this video, this is a Scourge pack. This Scourge pack, it's going in the 20K box. You guys watch the end. You deserve to benefit. Write that one down. It's in the box.